So this is a little tutorial demonstrating how to insert a parchment rose into an instrument that has already been completed. There are 5 things that you're going to need in order to get this done. One is hide glue. You can use any other glue, but I found that parchment sticks best with hide glue. In this case I'm using liquid hide glue, and it seems to work well enough. Clips to hold the rose in place, rubber bands, a pen or a pencil, the 2 parts of the rose, and the instrument itself, this time represented by a box. The procedure involves 2 steps. Number 1, attaching the decorative border on the underside of the sound hole. And number 2, attaching the small part of the rose underneath the decorative border. For the first step, you'll see that I've tied 3 rubber bands through the small part of the rose. This will be used later on to bring the rose and affix it to the underneath portion of the decorative rim. This will go in first. The rose should be small enough to fit through the sound hole without bending. The decorative border is thin and it should be larger than the sound hole. This will need to be folded in order to be placed through the sound hole and affixed to the underneath. So the first part will involve using the hide glue and placing a little bit of hide glue underneath the sound hole. I do it with my finger. You can do it with a Q-tip or a brush. Just make sure that it doesn't drip inside the hole. The next part will be affixing the decorative rim to the under part of the sound hole. Now this will have to be done symmetrically. Once you've determined that the decorative rim is in place, you will use clips to affix the decorative rim underneath the sound hole. The second part of this process involves, again, placing a bit of glue on your finger and applying it to underneath the decorative border. Now with hide glue, there's an advantage, because if you have too much glue, when it dries, it becomes brittle and you can chip it off. Other glues are a little bit too soft and do not come off as easily nor as cleanly. The other advantage of hide glue is that it's reversible. So if you need to take off the rose, a little bit of humidity, a little bit of steam will deactivate the glue and the rose will come off. The last part involves bringing the second part of the rose up against the underside of the decorative border. Now make sure that It completely covers. There are no holes or spaces. And that it's completely symmetrical. Once you've established that this is symmetrical, you can place pens or any other kind of spacer underneath to hold the rows up to the second decorative border. At this point you can use any kind of spacer. You can use a sheet if you want to hold. Just remember that the rose is delicate, and so not a lot of pressure needs to be held. Now that the glue is dry and the cleanup is done, your rose is finished.